911, Drew.
Help me, please. I need help.
Where are you, ma'am?
Avenue, I think we just go wrong. I don't know where my parents are.
Ma'am, calm down. What's going on?
Some people broke into our house and they just showed all his money.
Okay,
and my parents yelling downstairs.
Okay,
Please send help.
ma'am, where are you? What?
Avenue.
Avenue Road.
Yes.
On the 8th of November 2010, a home invasion took place at the Pan household. 3 men invaded the home with weapons, taking $2,000 before shooting both Bich Ha Pan and Hui Han Pan, leaving their daughter, Jennifer Pan, unwounded. Bich Ha Pan died of her injuries while Hui Han Pan survived and was moved to a trauma unit by aircraft. That night, Jennifer was interviewed by the police.
I want to go through a form with you. It may seem kind of, why you're doing this, but this is it's like you're swearing to tell the truth about what you're going to talk to me about, and it's also going to explain to you the penalties for not telling the truth. I don't expect you not to help me, but for a homicide investigation, anyone who's very close to the investigation, we do this with. Okay, so this isn't suspecting that you're not going to tell the truth. This is more of a feature that you understand the importance of telling the complete truth.
Your Regional Police. I'm here so you can give a truthful statement, either by solemn affirmation or swearing on the Bible. Which do you prefer?
Swearing on the Bible.
Okay, just put your hand on the Bible. Do you, Jennifer Pan, swear that the evidence you shall give on this investigation shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Process about this. Now I want you to sort of take yourself back to earlier on today, yesterday, meaning the 8th of November, and tell me about your day. Okay, start at any point in time, wherever you feel comfortable, and then we're gonna move forward. Okay.
Jennifer then goes on to tell the investigator about her day leading up to the home invasion, talking about how she taught piano lessons, spent time with friends, and did things around the house. She then says that in the evening, just before the home invasion, she was talking with some friends and watching TV.
Suddenly I just heard my mom calling for my dad to come down, and that's when I lowered the volume on my TV, and I could hear the voices weren't any voices I was very familiar with. And so I was scared and I couldn't move. I just sat in my room for a while. And then I thought I heard them all leave the top floor, and I peered out of my bedroom door. And a guy was there, and he came at me and had string in his hands and tied my arms back and said, "I have a gun behind your back. Do what I say. If you do what I say, then no one will get hurt. Where is the money? Show me where your money is." I have still a bit of money put aside from when I was waitressing, cash. So I showed him where it was, and he took it and put it in his pocket, I think. And then that's where they pushed me to my parents' room and asked me where the money was there, and I didn't really know. So they kind of one was right beside me, blocking my way to the door, while the other ones turned over the bed to find some more cash in my mom's bedside table. In which then they dragged me down the stairs and made me kneel at the bottom, telling me to face down on the floor while the other guy had a gun behind my head, and asked my mom where her purse was. My mom kept trying to get up, and they kept telling her to sit down, and so I didn't want her to get hurt, so I told her, "Mom, sit down." They were trying to find her wallet, but her English isn't good, so she kept saying purse. They kept pushing her down onto the chair.
Okay. Take your time. Take your time. All this is very important, so take your time.
They kept all the lights off on the main floor. The only time there was light was when they opened the fridge door to see if they could find where my mom's purse was. At that point, I saw 3 figures of men. One with a hoodie, like the one I could see the most clearly, he had a hoodie on, and I believe he had a bandana of some sort covering from like his lower, under his eyes down. And then, for some reason, I think one of the gentlemen asked my father if he had money in his wallet and where his wallet was. So they took me, because I was next to the stairwell, they took me up the stairs to show them where my father's wallet was. But I didn't know. They had turned the room upside down. I didn't know where his pants were at that time. And then, after they had gotten that, they had taken me and they tied me to the top of the banister. Just with one string, I could still move, but I was afraid to because the one guy just had that gun. Just next thing I know, I think I heard my parents going down the stairs, and my mom was asking them for me to come with them. They wouldn't let me come with them. After they said, the last things I heard them say was, you lied to us, you lied to us. And then I heard 2 pops. My mom screamed. I yelled out for her. And a couple more pops.
Take your time. Take your time.
Up the stairs, and at that point, I had my phone on me, behind me, that I had hidden there that they didn't know about. So when I thought that they had heard them all leave, and my dad ran up the stairs, I whipped up the phone and I called 911.
They then go on to talk about the events of the night in more detail, trying to get an exact timeline of events and descriptions of the men who committed the crime. This lasts for about an hour before the interview is finally finished.
Is there any reason to suspect, or anything that's happened in the recent weeks leading up, that would have you guys be a target of some type of incident like this?
You live a straightforward kind of...
Cause people to target your house to think there was a large quantity of money.
Jennifer mentions that the reason they may have been targeted for the home invasion was that they had recently been on holiday in America, and her mother had mentioned the money that she was carrying on her at the border. The interview is then closed up, and Jennifer is allowed to leave. 3 days later, Jennifer is called in for another interview. Usually, this doesn't happen in investigations, however several of the detectives notice strange behaviour from Jennifer, such as referring to the home invaders as gentlemen. In the second interview, they go back over the events of that night, looking for any discrepancies in Jennifer's story that may point to her being involved.
She's calling him by his name and to come down.
Okay, so give us verbatim, what do you hear her saying? Is it in the Vietnamese Chinese, or
Yes,
is it in English?
It's in Vietnamese.
Okay, and what do you hear her say?
In Vietnamese? She's like, Han ơi, xuống đây.
And what does that translate to?
That's my father's name, Han. Come down here.
Does she say anything else associated with that?
I can't hear clearly because, like, I was on the phone and the TV was on,
Sure.
but that's what I heard.
Is she yelling? Or is it normal?
It's a loud, she's not yelling, but it's a loud tone.
Okay.
From where I was standing, my father was sitting on the right, and my mother was sitting on the left.
Sitting where?
On a couch. On our couch.
Sitting on the couch. Are they looking out towards you?
No, their backs are towards me.
Okay. And you're now on the ground level? Are you on the floor? Or on the
I'm
sitting on the
the
stairs?
floor. I'm sitting on the floor.
All right, where are your hands?
They had tied my hands,
So let's
as
go.
I said.
Let's go back up to the stairs. Remember, we said take the other statement and whatever we've said before.
No, I said it earlier.
Okay, then let's get back to that area. I think you might have touched on it. We went back into the description. So where do you get your hands tied, and where does the string come from?
I'm not sure where the string comes from. but he had the string.
Okay.
And after I gave him my money, that's when he tied my hands.
And how did that happen?
Her back onto the couch, and she
Who
kept
pushed her?
number 2.
Okay.
I was pushing her back onto the couch, and she kept saying, "Where's my purse? Where's my purse?" And the guy kept telling her to sit down, and I didn't want my mom to get hurt.
How many times does she get up and get pushed back down?
I'd say she got up twice.
Who uttered a word at this point in time?
I can't remember hearing him.
Okay. 2 now of what he's wearing?
All I could tell was he had a vest, and his face was like a long oval face.
He had a vest?
No, hoodie.
Okay.
Dark hoodie.
Okay.
At this point, Jennifer's made several contradictory statements regarding the suspect's descriptions and the events of the night. These contradictions will be used against her in court later on. However, the investigator tries to catch her in another possible contradiction regarding how she was kept during the home invasion and how she managed to call 911.
Can you show me, can you stand up and turn around and tell me, just show on the camera, how your hands are bound? And how you are against the railing. You don't have to sit down, I just need to see how you work. The reason that I need to do this is that I'm also going to ask you is that so take this back take it out of a traumatizing event, which it is, and put yourself into a more clinical position, because I want to see how you could physically get your phone out of your waistband. We're obviously going to need to know that. It's very important. Put this in the side that you believe it was in. Great. Turn around. So that you're looking away from me. You're looking exactly like, now here is where the banister is. Put your hands back behind your back, exactly how you remember they were. Okay. Now, and are you restrained from movement? How far can you move your hands from the banister?
They tied my upper arm.
Yes.
Around the banister.
Yes.
But my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call?
Jennifer was lucky she was able to prove that she may have been able to call 911 in the way that she described, and in fact this footage was used by the defence to suggest that Jennifer was innocent come her trial. They then talk more about the night and how some of the things that she talked about that happened that night were illogical from a timeline view, which Jennifer tries to defend.
You hear a door knock. You didn't hear a door kicked in. You didn't.
I said I was watching TV on the phone. I don't know how.
Yeah, I know. We went over that back and forth. We don't know how. So somehow they got into your house by getting through your mom. Down on the lower level, right? Because she's the only one who's down there.
She's the only one down there.
So it's very confusing. We do have surveillance cameras from the area, right? That explain that. Well, hopefully, but that's still in work in progress. But generally, random events are not, in most cases, random. There's a rhyme or reason why they've come to your house. But from what you've told me inside the house, the only thing that you hear them saying to you is they're looking for money. They're not looking for a specific quantity of money?
No.
Do you ever hear number one telling number that you had no involvement in what happened? Meaning not saying how the outcome came, but you had no involvement in any type of illegal activity that would have drawn you or the attention of you to have bad people come to your house looking for large sums of money. You're not involved in this any which way. Because the question obviously stands, Jennifer, is you're upstairs and they're downstairs, right? So it's a natural concern why would they leave you alone? Why would they not do the same to you? You can't answer that question?
The only thing I can say is he said I cooperated.
The,
But I asked him to take me.
The number
with
one
my
guy?
mom.
The number one guy said you cooperated. Okay, thing isn't a lie. That what you're telling me is a lie. Because if you are lying, it's the most cold-blooded thing that I have ever faced in my life.
About halfway through the investigation, they move on to possible motivation. However, in the full clip, the transition is smoother. It's seeming as though the detective wants to know more about Jennifer and trying to get her to perceive that he is on her side.
How did you feel about having to lie to your parents?
I felt guilty, but every time I tried to bring it up, there was just so much expectation.
Did you have any resentment towards them for this?
I chose what I chose, but in the end, I chose my family.
Jennifer is then let go after 4 hours of being interviewed and isn't brought back for another 9 days. During this time, police interview her father, who disputes almost all of what was said during Jennifer's interview, saying that she was not tied up at any point of the home invasion and was also talking to the suspects as if she knew them. They advised Han to say that he couldn't remember anything of the attack if Jennifer asked, as she could be dangerous. During these days, the funeral of Bich Ha Pan also took place, where Jennifer showed very little emotion, which was captured by the press. Then, on the 22nd of November, Jennifer was brought back to the police station for the last time for an interrogation. She is now officially a suspect. This time she is brought to the same room, however after a few minutes is moved, the interrogator citing and technical difficulties. The interrogator is actually a different interrogator from Jennifer's last 2 interviews, and is an expert in extracting confessions using the read technique. This method has 2 distinct phases, the first familiarizing and comforting the suspect, followed by a sharp turn into accusatory.
That's nice. And did you, as far as that, did you do like competition skating or? Okay. And how did you do with that?
It wasn't at the top of the pack, so it was the middle average.
Yeah, sounds good though. But you did actually enjoy it. It was more than just going for competition. You enjoyed actually.
I was petrified of the competition.
Okay. All right.
They called up my friend who I said I was staying with in the middle of the night, and she brought me and forgot what day it was, so she's like, isn't she home? And I wasn't home.
Okay. She messed up.
I don't blame her, but
No. Okay. And what was that, friend?
In the previous clips, we witnessed the first stage of the read technique. This goes on for about an hour before he moves on to the second stage, confrontation. This is where the investigation takes a quick turn and the evidence of Jennifer's contradictions is brought up.
Be a witness behind that could describe. Does that make common sense for killers? What do you think? You think that was a mistake they made then?
I don't know, they kept saying that there were no signs.
It doesn't take a long time to kill someone.
I know, I don't know.
When you say they kept saying, who kept saying? That I'm an expert, okay, in what we call truth verification. Okay, I'm not a homicide detective. Okay, although I work on a lot of homicides. Somebody's not being straightforward. Okay, I can tell by the language they use, how they answer the question, their body language, how they treat the question, that something's wrong here. Okay, this doesn't make sense. Okay, I am well aware that anybody on this earth is capable of making a mistake. Okay, I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're a priest. I don't care if they're a school teacher. I don't care what the situation is. Given a certain set of circumstances, everyone has the capability, Jennifer, of making a mistake, doing the wrong thing, okay? The key, though, when I talk to people is when they made a mistake, okay, that's one thing, right? The key is to not keep making the same mistake, okay? And to get that information out and get it off your chest, okay? You understand what I'm saying? Okay? So at the end of the day, from this case, and I can tell you I've spent literally a week on this case, going over information after information, accessing all these sources, speaking to every other expert on the case. Okay? And at this point, Jennifer, I know that you've not been truthful with the police. Okay? You've not told us everything that you know. Purposely. Okay? That's a true statement, right? You knew before that night that they were coming. Right? Hurting you. Oh, I need to know the details. I can't even say it. Okay. And you know when a good person makes a mistake, they have to face that mistake, right? Right? What do you think should happen? I don't know. What would you like to see happen in this case? What we're supposed to take you? What? Okay. So you're supposed to take the whole family out? What went wrong? Okay, so tell me how that happened.
I was disappointed with everything.
Okay, so why did it have to happen this way? And what's his number?
I don't memorize it.
Where can we find it?
At this point, Jennifer's confessed to hiring the hitmen, and despite stating that she hired them to kill her, they already have her father's statement to prove otherwise. The interrogator will try to get her to say more, however she stays silent, refusing to admit to more than hiring the hitmen.
And the job was for your parents. Okay, that's what we got to get to here. It's for your mom and dad. Okay, nobody's going to come in there and do the wrong job. Okay, nobody's going to do that. They came, you paid, and they did what they were supposed to do. Okay? At this point in the investigation, okay, I'm going to be arresting you for murder. Okay? Also attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Do you understand that? Just have to tell me if you understand those charges. Just say yes or no. Yes. Okay.
After this, the arrest and trial of Jennifer and her co-conspirators takes place. Here are their sentences. Jennifer Pan, life with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Daniel Wong, life with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Lemford Crawford, life with the possibility of parole after 25 years. David McLevan, life with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Eric Carty, 18 years with the possibility of parole after 9 years.